Perfect. Perfect. So good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our webinar for today. So this will be our networking event. So it will mostly be chaired by myself and my colleague Intavi Singh. So what I'll do is to get us started is I'm just going to share the screen. I have made a presentation just for the run through of today. So I'm going to ask you just to bear with me 1 second. Let me just put that up. One moment, please. Perfect. So I'm going to start with sharing. I'm not sure, can everyone see? Okay, perfect. All right, so our networking event today, I said who we are. So being the Spa and Wellness Association of Africa, so the South African chapter. Obviously, we have launched about a year ago, so some exciting things to share that we have done over the past year. You can follow us on the website. Most of you know our chair, Jacqueline, who's done amazing work with us throughout the year. So really steering our ship forward for us. Just us as the team, I'm sure you've seen many of these faces in the webinar that we have hosted. Jacqueline being our chair, myself and Intabi Singh. We have Shanae LaRue. Then we have John, who has also been in a few of the webinars hosted, and then Izal Lowe, who is from Mommy Wellness as well. So these are the committee members for the South African team. A little bit just about our mission and the vision that we have for the chapter. One of the main things which Jacqueline will talk a little bit about would be the, which will be our conference, which is happening a little bit towards the, September, the 15th to the 17th of September. So Jacqueline will share a little bit more information based on that. So Jacqueline, I'm not sure, I'm going to maybe stop sharing and then you can give us a quick update just on where we are for the conference.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, the conference this year, obviously, because of COVID, we made a decision right in the beginning of the year that this conference will be an online conference this year. It is taking place from the 15th to the 17th of September, and it will be online. We will be obviously sending you the link for it. Please go onto the swaafrica.org website and click under events, and you'll find all the information regarding the conference. I'm a little bit excited about this one. We've been working quite hard the last month on this conference, and we've got some exceptional speakers that we've lined up this year, and that's not just about the spa industry, and quite a few of them are actually outside of the spa industry, because I felt this year that it should be about us right now. I think everyone's going through the same challenges, and for me, the conference this year should be a place where people are inspired again to start, giving them new tools to obviously reboot themselves. So a lot of the speakers are, or there's quite a few of the speakers that are not this year from our industry, and that sort of is more there for to give us some guidance and some motivation to carry on going where we are. So we're very excited. I can't actually share who they are yet, because obviously that will be launched later on, but you can so long go and buy your tickets online. On our website, you can buy your tickets online for as an attendee. If you've got a company who has maybe a product line and you would be interested in sponsoring, you're welcome to give me a call and contact me directly for sponsorships. But yes, very exciting stuff coming up. It is an online conference this year because of COVID. It just makes sense to do it online and keep everyone safe. So yes, we will, but I think the best way to actually know what's going on is to follow us on social media, follow the Spa and Wellness Association of Africa on social media. You can find them on Facebook, on Instagram, and LinkedIn. And or you're welcome to contact me directly at jacqueline@swaafrica.org. And I can send you more information regarding the conference and where we're at and what's going to be happening. It is going to be quite a spectacular conference. It is in conjunction with Val de Vie in Paarl in Cape Town, which is obviously, they are also quite connected in South Africa with quite a lot of amazing people, that is, including one of the owners of Val de Vie is actually Ryk Neethling, who is one of the biggest swimmers, Olympic gold medalist. So I mean, it's always nice to have those guys on board and give us their insight into the wellness industry. So we're very excited about the collaboration. And then this is going to be part 1. And then next year, hopefully, if COVID allows us to, we'll be doing part 2, which is on board. It will be on site at Val de Vie in Cape Town. So hopefully, if COVID allows us to, you can join us again on site and fly down to Cape Town and come and enjoy it. And hopefully, by the time we have it, we'll have better weather for you. And it would be a nice event for us all to get together again after such a long time of not connecting, physically. So this is part 1 this year is online, and part 2 next year will be on site, in conjunction with Val de Vie.
Sounds exciting.
Yeah, it is very exciting. But I will let you know as soon as we launch the speaker list. You'll see it on social media. Okay.
Perfect.
Thanks.
So that's something to look forward to, something positive for us to look forward to amidst everything that's going on at the moment. Awesome. Well, thank you, Jacqueline, for the update. I'm going to go back to my screen just to go through what we have planned for the day. So I will go through a couple of slides, and then Tabiseng will do the same. And then we'll finish off doing some interesting statistics. So that's some statistics just with regards to our topic of today, which is more focused on team success. So that's really where we're going to dig into. I'm more of a practical person, so I am within operations. I am working in hotel spas, and in Tabiseng's strengths really is guiding and focusing on the communication side of things. So she's going to delve a little bit deeper into that. But in most cases, a lot of what we're going to share is going to overlap during the presentations today. So if anyone has any questions, please feel free to ask. You can drop that into the chat box, as well as, just let us know, or even at the end, feel free just to unmute yourself, and then you can ask any questions that you may have. Perfect. So to get us back to, there we go. So Jacqueline has given us a wonderful update on that. So the next we have got, let me just see here. Oh, wait. Let me just see. I think I got the wrong one there. My apologies. All right, let's go down to where we were. Perfect. All right, so as I mentioned, something really exciting to share. We have actually just celebrated about a month ago. We have had our 1-year anniversary for our South African chapter. We've had some amazing webinars, and I think, we've had some amazing topics that we covered within the last year. Just before we went live, we were speaking about, how this whole year has impacted us and how inconsistency, we've had in our businesses, but yet we stuck it out. And I think we can celebrate all the successes. There was definitely successes. There was definitely big wins across the board. I think in most cases, better than some of us anticipated. And like Celeste has also said, really celebrate the small wins as well. And I think that's a key takeaway that we can take from, especially the last year and all the challenges that we have faced. So to my fellow panel, thank you from my side as well for being part in the year. I mean, it's definitely been something exciting to be part of. We've had another webinar, not related to the SWA chapter, but a very interesting topic that was in place was with a Franchise 101. That was chaired by Jacqueline, and then we had two of our members participate in it, which was Isal and Sharnay. So if you have a moment, I would highly recommend, please do go and have a listen at what they have to say, especially now in times where people are starting to think, maybe it's time to do my own business. That's definitely going to give you the right guidelines to get yourself started and in place. Save the date. So already we have our next networking event scheduled. That will be on Monday, the 2nd of August, starting at 2:00. We will be announcing the topic very soon. So please keep your eyes out. We'll obviously share the information as soon as it is ready to be shared. But definitely mark your calendars. That will be Monday, the 2nd of August, also at 2:00. And looking at where we're going to start today. So today, our main focus is team success. Our session today, I would like to thank the SPA Warehouse, who is sponsoring the event today. I'm going to share with you a little bit more about the SPA Warehouse shortly, but just a couple of things that we're going to touch base on is how do you build a strong team and what are the ideal conditions of team success. That will be something that I will take you through. And then Antabi Singh will cover the making of team success in a hybrid work environment, effective communication for team success in the new norm. And then, as mentioned, some very interesting team statistics that I have gathered around to share with everyone. As mentioned, our sponsor for today, big thank you to the SPA Warehouse, to Jacqueline. Company profile, obviously many of you are familiar. You know Jacqueline, she's well respected, well known in the industry. Been in the industry since 2005, worked with some of world-renowned and leading international brands like Lemmy Furniture, Cashmere & Co., Gentleman's Tonics, Fabi Nail Range. So definitely do go visit them. She's worked on many projects as well, locally, internationally as well. And then one lucky winner today, they will walk away with a 2-hour consulting session with Jacqueline, who is the owner of the SPA Warehouse, which is valued at about 3,000 Rand. We will be announcing the winner as well after the event. So keep a lookout on our social media pages as well. So thank you so much, the SPA Warehouse. Thank you, Jacqueline, for sponsoring. Again, it's a great support to our network and our industry. Great. So moving on, what is a team success? So as I mentioned, my background or where I feature is in hotel spas. My past experience is mostly hotel spas as well. So what is team success? I think each person has an individual definition of what you consider to be a team success. That can be defined as well as high-performing teams where team members know each other's strengths and weaknesses, and they can lean on each other in order to achieve a common goal. I think definitely the key there is where we lean on each other as a team. Not everyone can always have the same strengths. And, when you can draw from each other's strengths and weaknesses and you work together, I think that is what can lead you to being successful. I think what is important is defining your own team success. When you look at your own performances, your own achievements, what does stand out that you can say, I've achieved, how big or however small that may be, whether it is you've sold a retail target or whether it is you've had, achieve your budgeted revenue for the month, that would be a success. And that cannot be done as a single person. It has to be a team effort in order to achieve that. So building a strong team and conditions to a team success. Now, many of these you can see you might be able to relate to. The first one is very well known, having SMART goals, because it's all good to have a goal to achieve, but if you can't define your goal and make it specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-bound, how are you going to be able to achieve that? You as the leader, you as the manager, it might be easier for you to know it, but if your team isn't informed about them, how can you work together in order to achieve it? So definitely set SMART goals for your team. I mean, I've worked in international hotel brands for many years, and this is a topic that has always come up in training sessions that we do. When we set goals, how do we set them, and what are the elements that needs to be included in order to achieve it? Performing well-defined goals or roles, apologies. So I think each one having a role, we are assigned to duties, we are assigned to responsibilities. I feel it's also important to know what they are, because we all have different strengths and different weaknesses, and how can we utilize these to the advantage of the business and the successes that we achieve. So be specific when you define these roles. We've all worked with job descriptions. They are detailed, but use that as well to maximize different strengths and different areas of improvement, I would say. Experiment regularly, test the boundaries. It's in our industry, a lot of times you see repetition. Being successful and setting yourself apart is sometimes when you take a little bit of a risk. You challenge yourself to do things outside of the norm, be a trendsetter. I've worked in industries where we have done, let's say, a spa with an afternoon promotion in a country abroad. And at that stage, it wasn't actually something which was very popular. And then we were running it for a season, and then the next season we saw everyone doing that as well. So we took a risk. We combined something. It was, let's say, afternoon tea, the hotel was very popular with. So it actually sold extremely well. It was a good price point. And then, like I said, the next season, we saw a lot of people doing the same. Embrace diversity and skill set. Know your team players. No two people are the same. And again, what my strength could be is completely different from another team member. In my own team currently, I mean, I might be a little bit more business minded. I'm a more practical person, but then you have people in your team which are more emotionally, attuned. So they are the person that you can involve in, building your team, motivating, encouraging, and then, together we work really, really well together. Sharing a common culture. So that culture could also be, what kind of environment do you want to work in? Obviously it has to be a productive environment, has to be a positive work environment. But when everyone has the same goals to work under the same culture, then definitely I would say that is a form of success. When you all walk in and say, okay, my culture is I want to have 100% guest satisfaction, and everyone speaks the same language, everyone contributes the same input to their guest experiences, to the quality of treatment, to the way that you engage the guest before and after, the guest care. So a lot of these things create a culture. That's something that even in my current team, we are, very proud of, is, I would say, service delivery. Service quality, I would say, is a culture that I put in the forefront, because when people are happy with culture that we create, then obviously they will become your loyal customers and they will keep coming back. Communicate effectively. And I know that this is something that Ntabi Singh is going to really dig a little bit deeper in, but communication is extremely important. And I've even spoken even yesterday with some of the colleagues that I work with in sister properties, is you can never be too clear when it comes to communication, and you can never gather enough information in order to anticipate the need of your guest, how your colleagues likes to be engaged with. So communication is extremely important. Have open communication. I always say to my teams, I'm an open book. So I always feel that there are no information that is only relevant to me. As much as possible, I like to share. I like to be transparent, because the more I can share, the more I can teach. And the more I can teach, the more I allow them to grow. So that for me is something which is very important. And then welcome strong leadership and having the right people. So I mean, in some of the other webinars we've had, we've definitely spoken about hiring the right staff. And when you have a vision of where you want to go, it's definitely important to have people that can, again, speak the same languages that you do. And then when you can build that common cultures, and you can really define that roles and allowing your teams to grow and be stronger. Having a real working team, I think a real working team, it might sound maybe a strange word, but I think one of the words that stands out there to me is real. People need to be sincere. They need to really be wanting to be part of the team. Definitely, I would say, get everyone involved, have open communication, and like I said, let their strength also shine. Team direction, anything with direction works the same. You can't go anywhere unless you have direction of where you want to go, whether that be with setting your SMART goals. Be specific. What is the actual achievement that you want to have? It's the same thing when you get in your car and you want to drive somewhere. Unless you know the destination, you don't know how you're going to get there. So definitely team direction is important. Team structure, again, who is that defining roles? Do you have a structure system in place? The supportive organizational context. How is your organization managed? So being in a hotel spa, my strengths and what I offer is very much spa orientated. But a lot of the duties that I do, I'm going to need support from other departments within our organization. And some of the, let's say, phrases that I've worked with is clearing the way. So I might need someone from a maintenance perspective, or I might need someone from a marketing perspective to come and help me. This is their strength. This might not be my strength. But when I reach out and I say, can you do this for me? It allows me to get to my goal a lot faster because they were able to help me, clear my path so that I can get to my goal. And then team coaching is definitely important, especially now in the days that we're in, encouragement, recognition, just really taking the time to look out for your staff and their well-being. Obviously, with everything that has happened last night, I think the next 2 weeks is going to be quite a crucial time for many people. Though many might continue to operate, there are some that is going to say, listen, it's better for us to close down. Is how are you going to keep your staff then motivated? So again, you might have someone in your team, which is a great coach. You yourself might be a coach, or you may relate to someone outside of your organization that you can bring in and have your team be motivated and encouraged. So definitely spend that time. And I know that previously we have also we have spoken to some of, let's say, for example, in my own company, my owner, she's a life coach as well. So she has got great experience to put on the table to encourage and to motivate. So I would say definitely if you combine all of these things, they might seem like a lot, but they definitely can help you just define a little bit your team and to, just to help you get on the right path. I think all of these are essential, but knowing your operation, knowing what your strengths are, knowing where you want to go, you can define what success means to you. Like I said, you have smaller organizations and then you have extremely large organizations which operate on a completely different level. You might find that, guest satisfaction is a form of success for you. Financial is always going to be important. Others might find they determine success in their staff retention. It could be the staff, let's say, how happy they are in terms of, colleague engagement surveys, if they have something like that in place. So all the different measurements you have in order to help with coaching. But yeah, like I said, all of these are important. One goes hand in hand with the other. I have found it many times in my own operation that, I can't do it without any one of my members. I cannot do it without the housekeeper that comes and makes sure that, my rooms are ready. I can't do it without my therapist who, puts in the effort and does the physical hard work. And whoever works at reception, taking care of the bookings, each and every single one plays a part in our success. So I would say definitely, get your teams involved, find out what their strengths are. If you know, build on that. Some of the most difficult things is to delegate. And I've always find that quite hard because I'm quite a hands-on person. But when you delegate tasks and duties, you can actually allow someone to identify a strength that they have, which they might not have known they had, or they could have found out that they have a passion for something that they didn't know they have. And when you have passion and you're allowed to do that in the workplace, I do feel that, you will be more successful and people are more motivated to put in the effort, to put in the work so that they can have a positive outcome at the end of it. So spend that time with your colleagues, find out what their strengths are. I normally would say, rather than weaknesses, I would like to call them areas of improvement, because, it might not necessarily be a weakness, but it might just be something that you need a little bit more time with, a little bit more experience with. So spend that time with your colleagues. Now that it's maybe a little bit slow is the ideal time to do that. Ask them what their passions are, ask them what they like to do, what don't they like. I think all those things are extremely important. I love, like I said, areas of improvement is how I love to call them, not weaknesses, because again, a weakness, we always have a negative connotation to that, but areas of improvement is just allowing them the opportunity to grow. So that will be just a quick guide of what I feel you can do just to strengthen your team a little bit. How do you assess success? I'm going to just, let me just see. Impacts of a manager or a leader on a team. So obviously, we are all leaders in our own field, but I feel what is essential as a leader and the impact that we have is we have to provide a vision for our teams. What is it that we stand for as an establishment, as a spa, as a team? What is important to us? Establish effective organizational structure, communication. Again, do you have your communication meetings? Do you have your briefings where you can share information? We are quite a small team, so sometimes it's quite hard to really get everyone together, but we try at least once a month to do our communication meeting. We cover all of our achievements. We cover even information from the hotel, which is important for them to know. Be an effective role model and lead from the front. That's something that I'm quite passionate about as a manager or as a leader, is that, you shouldn't just sit in the office and let them do the work. You need to lead them, you need to show them, and you need to guide them. Many times, let's say my number 2 would say that she loves to just stand and listen how I operate, because she finds that that's such a good way to learn, how do I address, let's say, a complaint, or how do I address a difficult client? And she sees all of that only through observation, but she sees that as a learning opportunity. So the next time when she's faced with the same, then she can, she would be able to assist as well. Inspire and motivate, that we already discussed a little bit. I think inspire and motivate is not just a leader's job. I think as a team, we should all inspire and motivate each other, because we all work in synergy. One day you have a good day and someone else is maybe a little bit off, and vice versa. So we can continue to motivate each other. Delegate, empower, trust, and growth. So I did briefly mention about that, and that's really, delegating is such a big role to help other people grow. Whether it is something like, okay, this month you're taking charge of stock take, or, can you please make sure that you do all the reservation checks, or just giving them a responsibility sometimes makes them feel as though, they are worthy of giving an opportunity to grow and learn. Depending on the size of the operation, sometimes it's challenging. My operation is quite small. So as as someone that's leading it, sometimes, they might not feel like there's enough that can go around, but you could always do small tasks, or you can put it on a rotational system that each one's getting an opportunity each month to do so. And then effective time management, plan and be prepared. And I think that's one thing that the times we're in today has taught us, is that, you kind of be prepared for the unexpected. You have to adapt. You have to be flexible. Even if it is a last minute, you get news yesterday, you have to adapt today, as many of us have to do, or many of us have had to done in the past. So just plan ahead and be prepared, because then you will be ready for whatever comes your way and nothing will catch you off guard. But as a leader, I think definitely you have to be the person in front that helps and guides you, that support for them. They can look up to you and see that, you're fighting with them, alongside them, and you put in as much the effort, if not more, than they do. So success is not just a one person. It's really, when I think of success and team success, there's one word that comes to mind, and that's synergy. And in our industry, we use the word a lot, synergy. So really defining it, the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. You can't do it with just one person. You have to do it together as a team. So yeah, that's definitely something that I take from team success. So next we have Ntabiseng. So I'm going to just very briefly stop my screen share, and then Ntabiseng will take you through. And then I'll close off with some very interesting statistics about, like team cultures. And so Ntabiseng, over to you, and looking forward to what you have to share with us.
Thank you so much, Anita. I just want to connect here properly before we begin. Can everyone see my screen? Is it sharing properly? How does that look? Does everyone see that? Are you good to go? So yes, as Anita has mentioned, I am Ntabiseng Shongwe, and my focus is communications. But when we speak about communications, we often talk to a very large space or environment. But when we boil it down, we want to be effective. We don't want to just talk for the sake of talking. And I think the first thing to always say about communication is that communication first is actually about listening, and about listening attentively and listening actively. And to maybe hone in on this before we continue is to actually highlight some of the elements of active listening. When we are engaging with our teams, how attentive are we really? For example, in this conversation, I love that a lot of what team success meant for a leader was speaking to the words that she used. And again, we'll get back to a conversation about language and how we either empower or disempower ourselves when we try to connect for team success. She speaks of the word synergy. She uses the word empower. She says inspire, motivate, support, embrace. Now, throughout her presentation, she speaks to those kinds of words, and those are the languages and some of the things that encourage us to communicate in a positive environment, which leads people to feel like they're supported by their leaders, as yourselves and myself, and their managers. And this also encourages a team success mindset. So here is just a simple example, just to say that communication actually starts with listening. When we get into it, we have been, as Alida said and mentioned, completely ravaged by a very changing world, where we used to talk via smoke signals and fire, but nowadays it's a little bit more complex. So how do we stay in touch? When our teams are some working from home, in my space, I have overlapped in our industry, but I've also worked alongside other industries from education to financial services, where our teams are a combination of at home and in office. So the hybrid environment, which Alida had mentioned, and how do we really stay connected? Connected, but not. When we are in person, we're looking to say, what are the things that encourage each other to stay connected rather? And I think one of the examples that we've always had, no matter the size of the team, because also how do we stay connected whilst communicating when we're talking about teams at scale? So for instance, when I was working in one of our previous spas and organizations, we had a smaller team, but it mattered because we needed to connect every day. And so we started with what we called the morning minute. If you just take a moment to reflect, when was the last time you asked your team members, how are you, but really? And began a morning meeting or started your day to say, where are you and how do you check in? It's so important to observe where everybody is in when we're trying to communicate, because it then gives us a ground where we know how to relate. Not just that we have to relate, but how to relate and connect to our team members. If somebody, for example, with COVID, is going through a challenge at home where they're either unconnected to electricity or they're having difficulty with transport, if we're not asking them how they are, if we're not really connecting and listening to where they're at, it makes it difficult to connect, but also it means the messages we want to deliver as leaders and managers do not land because we're not communicating them from a place of empathy. We're not communicating at the level where the other person is prepared to receive. So I think it always starts with where are we and how are we? It's ensuring that we're not just connecting for connecting's sake, but actually deepening that with some empathetic, active listening. And so again, as Alida had mentioned, it comes back to, it's more than just being in touch. It's about trust, creating a trusting environment, creating a supportive environment. It's an engaged and attentive environment. It's also an environment that once you have cultivated a level of trust at a foundational level, it becomes easy to be inspired. And inspiration and creativity at the moment are difficult maybe to come by. You know, when we are looking at people struggling financially or businesses having to make some very, very tough decisions, how do we continue to motivate our teams? What are the languages that we're speaking? Are we despondent or are we motivating? So again, Alida, I like the words that you use about synergy and empowerment and motivation. I think those are the kinds of things that when we speak about how do we encourage and support through effective communication, those are some of the things that we'd like to highlight. So again, I get back to some of the barriers, and in our country, we can always easily start with, we have people who communicate in 11 different languages, but then we also have customers who communicate with different barriers. So how do we again continue to say, this needs to be a lot more empathetic? We now have the complexity of a lot more screen time, but in our spas and salons, we're still a high touch. Where do we find ourselves creating the breakdown of the barrier when everyone is masked up? A lot of our communication is the majority non-verbal. Many of you will know that it's about 80% of what we do is non-verbal. So when we can't see our customers' faces, when they can't see our faces, how do we begin to build rapport? Are we still smiling enough? Are we still engaged enough? The industry that we are in is a tactile industry. It is a love and care industry. How do I show that I'm continuing to care and I'm continuing to be involved when I'm sitting here at a distance? Right? So we need to break down those barriers. And if they're interpersonal at this stage, we need to be over communicating to compensate for the things that we no longer have access to with our changing narrative in the new normal. So interpersonally, where are we communicating with our customers? Do we send supportive messaging with the reminder email or with the reminder SMS? Do we say, hope you're staying safe and taking care? Please remember your appointment is at this time. I hope you're staying safe and take care. Just an added touch of affection and empathy shows that we're paying attention to where people are, but also shows that we're not talking at people, but talking with people. Again, linguistically, we're now talking through our mouths. Again, a lot of people are not hearing us when we're taking down information. How are we miscommunicating? We spend billions globally on miscommunication, where about tens of thousands could be saved if we were just more effective communicators. We have to be reassuring. We have to ensure that possibly we are over communicating in a time where we are further apart. Culturally, and in our spas at the moment, I remember when we had to have an example, and it was just before the close of lockdown, where we had one of our spa assistant managers and supervisors come to us and say, well, I'm not sure what to do because culturally, we have a process that she's going to be going through religiously and spiritually. How is this going to affect us when we now have to transfer that back into the spa, but I now don't have the ability to be able to work with my clients as close as possible? How do we navigate those things? So I think, again, as you've said, it's trying to meet often, to show that we are empathetic, because empathy is effective. And how often do we say, are we caring about what it is that we are hearing from our customers? A lot of them are a lot more anxious. A lot of them are feeling a lot more under pressure. And that, again, because of our industry, it boils down to touch. They have a lot more tension in the spaces that they're operating in, which means in their body, it's being reflected. If you're sitting down with your consultations, whether you have a new client or an old client, are we really listening to the added pressures that are now going to reflect on the table? We're thinking about their sitting longer, their postures are not being up straight. Are we paying attention when we recommend how we're going to be supporting them with the changes because of COVID? They have a lot more stress because maybe they're working from home and they have the kids all day, which means they're now in a lot more noisy environment. Have we thought about, or maybe this customer might not want to hear music? We might have to be looking at the very, very granular details about how do we accommodate people with the changes that they're going to be telling us are affecting them. So we become proactive into opening ourselves up to receive and care for them better. It might be those simple little changes that allow us to show that we really are going to be able to support them. And it's just about changing our messaging on an SMS warning. It might be changing a question on one of our consultation forms. It's those kinds of things that show that we're actually adapting as this changing time is occurring as well. So again, as Anita has mentioned, it's about communicating relentlessly. We think that sometimes we're over communicating, but we don't want to leave room for error. In this changing time in our new normal, there can be a lot of assumptions that are being made with information shifting left and right, and for us having to be prepared and having to adapt continuously, we need to ensure that we're keeping in touch by staying in touch. Simplify the message. So even though we're communicating a lot, let's keep it simple. It makes it easier for us to break down some of the barriers and overcome some of the challenges that we might face when it comes to communicating with our teams to connect for success. Hold your thoughts. Encourage other people to offer ideas and solutions before you give yours. This, I think, is going to come from where people are at in our industry. And again, if you had joined us just a little bit before, we were discussing how businesses are going to have to adapt in this time. A lot of the solutions are going to come from what people are experiencing because we just haven't had these kind of situations before. And as you said, Anita, again, you were talking about many businesses have had to be prepared for the eventuality walking into the future of where COVID is with the stricter lockdowns or changing regulations that can happen at any time. So how are we communicating through that? How are we supporting our teams through that? Storytelling. So I think here, a lot of what our stories and our narratives, again, are going to be about the anxiety that is being carried. I remember that we had now introduced not only the morning meeting, but in the company that I'm working for now, is we are working from a lot more work from home situations. So we have to go in and out of the office a lot more. And how do we remain connected in a situation like this? We call it the 5 to 5. So what have you learned in your 5 to 5? How was the day for you? What were the things that you picked up? So we have something that opens up in the morning to position ourselves. We then have something that closes at the end of the day to see how far we've come. And turning our opportunities to connect into a simplified form, or at least connecting more regularly, will also help us stay on top of where we are with our team members, but also helps us stay a little bit closer to how our experience with our customers were from day to day. So anytime that we are seeing our customers or engaging them and our clients, let's remember to possibly take a little bit more time with them, listen to where it is that they are. I think from that, we're going to learn incrementally from day to day how we can better support them in their care. This is one of my favorite examples of communication and effective communication in a team success setup. if any of you have ever watched Formula One, or you might not have to have watched Formula One, they are able to change a tire in 2.4 seconds flat without talking. This is the moment where their success shows, right? But this is built upon many meetings. It is built because they're talking to each other regularly. It means that everybody knows their role. And so again, like Alida had mentioned, the list that you brought out is everybody is aware of what it is that they need to do. And that way, there isn't any confusion. It means there is a lot less miscommunication, but also it means that everybody can play to their strengths. When everybody can play to their strengths, we're able to turn around some of the challenges that we come across because we're openly communicating. We are authentically communicating, which also means we can turn around how quickly and productively we're going to be putting out our products and meeting our outcomes. And so this for me is really one of the best examples I know and that I am inspired by. How do we get better? How do we become more productive and how do we become more engaged? The 2.4 turnaround time for an entire change it's a big deal. So how do we communicate into that? Another example I had experienced recently was with one of the organizations we were working with needed support where we were sending in to go and give massages to teachers just before we were realizing we had to close down schools and everything. And how can we support our educators? And what has happened to them is that they've all had to go online. They are now sending their scripts and students are marking their pupils via WhatsApp, right? So what does communication look like even in this day and age when everybody's working from home or everybody's working in shifts? We're having the same kind of data challenges with our SCOMs or anything like that. But again, it is about with the changes that are coming through, how do we do that with a lot of the nuances? So a lot more engagement with our teams via WhatsApp, going back to smaller groupings, motivational messages, encouragement about supporting our health, because they also are in our industry, the heads of households, with the majority of our industry being cared for by women and supported by women. They go home into spaces where if we were better leaders and we were supporting them, we then can get them to be supported better and help those people at home who they will be supporting. People who feel valued, value others. People who support and feel supported are more likely to support others. So we have a responsibility to encourage in our space. We have a responsibility to hold those meetings and to create those spaces of encouragement so that we can continue to have our teams connect and connect towards being successful because they feel valued, they feel seen, they feel heard, they feel respected, and they feel that with their presence in the organization, no matter the challenges we're facing, still contributes. People want to be in spaces where they feel like they can contribute. And I think that we might find the more creativity we can inspire, because even in situations of hardship, there is a spark within everyone that is looking to be lit, is looking to be inspired for some creativity. And even though we are having some of the challenges now, communication, and when we're able to break down those barriers, makes it a little bit easier and helps us share the load of having to create and innovate during a time such as COVID and this new normal that we're going to be seeing for a couple of months and possibly years ahead. So again, I think fundamentally, success is about connecting. And so how do we connect for success? It's about communicating relentlessly but simply. Ask yourself whether you care, because if you don't care, how can you connect? And really, when we are connected, that is when we can be creative. When we can be creative, we can be inspired. And when we are inspired, we are overflowing. We want to be overflowing. We want to be giving the love that we want to see returned into our spaces. We want the energy in our communications to show that we are ready to support our clients and all of our customers. We want to show that we understand where we're coming from. When we show that we can understand where they're coming from, it builds a lot of the rapport. The rapport builds the trust. And the trust, I recall in our last, one of our last webinars, Alida, how you had said you were communicating continuously with everyone, even when you were shut down. You were present, you were there, you were making sure. yes, not a problem. Please, can we, we can shift your booking, and they come back. I mean, you would also just mention that they do come back because we've shown that we care about what they're going through. We've shown that we support them and that we're with them on the journey. And that is about paying attention. It's about listening. And it's about being compassionate. We need to become compassionate and conscious leaders and managers. It starts with care. Our care goes into the way we communicate. The way we communicate will create the environment. And once we've created the environment, we're more likely to see the high performance results that we're looking for and asking of our teams. When we can give that to them, we can then connect better and they can give more to all of our customers and clients. So I had a fun little heart put together, but really communication is not just for our teams, it's for ourselves, it's for all of our relationships. And I think that is true. We need to think about success as a mindset, because it's a mindset that permeates between our spa walls and the spa rooms. Success is a mindset that is in the workplace and outside of the workplace. Respect, acceptance, a lot of laughter, jokes help, memes help. They do, because if we get people laughing, then it makes it a little bit easier to go through the days. And if that might be something like a sing-along on a Friday morning, 5 to opening the spa, we just need to keep inspiring some creativity. And I know I have done a dance or two to get some people going, but I think that's when you show at the end of the day, we're all in the same place trying to get to the same place. And I think the more we share more authentically, the more honest we are with one another, the more trust that we really can build. And I think when we trust people, that's when we feel comfortable saying that, you know what, we can win. And I think that's what you want to feel at the end of the day. And I think, again, so being comfortable and being encouraged, loved and valued are what are going to keep us through. So Alida, I hope I covered it and supported you there. And I think it's over to you for the statistics.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Like I mentioned, I think communication is so important and really fun and laughter. I mean, recently we've been doing our morning meetings with a joke of the day. You can't start the meeting until at least you've done a joke of the day. It could be a corny joke, it could be a funny joke, but it has to be a joke. And that kind of just sort of sets, because a lot of times, and with what we're going through, there's quite a heavy set in the morning. People don't know what the day is going to bring. So it just kind of brightens it up a little bit. So I'm going to just very briefly take you to some interesting statistics. And the only reason, like I said, I did find them quite interesting. They're a little bit more, I would say, US based, but, some of them you may resonate with. Oh, there we go. Sorry. Let me go down to the last page. Some of them you may resonate with. It says that 75% of employees regards collaboration and teamwork as important. I think, that shows the need for people who want to work in a team. And, you all want to know that you're working together, because you can't do a one-man show and get to your results at the end of the day. One person is not going to get you over that winning line. Only 14% of managers claim that they're confident with their employees understand the strategies, goals, and directions. And that, again, coming back to what you've said, Ntabi, saying is, perhaps their communication is lacking, where they don't know what these goals are, that are not being informed through, communication, so they can't help achieve what needs to be achieved. Effective communication generates about 4.5 times higher talent retention. So when people are working in an environment where they feel that, there's open communication, they know what their goals are, they work in a happy environment, they are more likely to stay than go and find another environment to work in. Recognizing quality work and achievements of work group increases the profits by 29%. So the more you feel recognized, the more effort you're going to put in to your day-to-day, and the more committed you'll be to your roles as well. This one is quite interesting. 99.1% wants to be part of an organization that nourishes honest communication. And for example, something else is honesty and open communication are the core of every great team. Employees understand that the majority prefers the truthful and effective discussions. However, just over 50% of workers say that they are part of such a team. So 99.1% of people want to be part of a team like that. However, merely 50% of people actually are. And then the statistics also confirm that only 5.9% of the organization are in habit of communicating their goals. So that actually shows from the 99.1% who really wants it, only 5.9% actually achieves that. 41% of team members who are aware of their strengths show lower absenteeism. So when you know what your strengths are, I think that also gives you direction of where to focus your energy and your input so that you can be successful. That kind of makes you want to succeed and want to be present. An aligned team delivers better results. So again, when that communication is there, it's open, it's clear. As a team, you know what your achievements are, where you need to go, what your direction is. Teamwork accounts for lower employee burnout. Like I previously mentioned, when we share the workload, that definitely helps with achieving success. Like I said, today I might not have a great day, but someone else is stepping up for me, and tomorrow I will do the same. And then just an interesting statistic to me is that they say the dream team size is about 4.6 in terms of people. So you get massive companies and you get smaller teams, but 4.6 is the ideal dream team, which is a small team, which is, we're about 7 in my team at the moment. So it just shows you that people prefer to work probably in smaller environments, but again, it is also industry specific. But yeah, so those are just some interesting statistics which I thought I'll share with you. So that's it from my side. I'm not sure if there's any questions out there, if anyone has anything else maybe to share from your side in terms of team success. I think it's a great topic to cover. I think it's something which is very essential and very much needed in our industry at the moment, is to celebrate small wins, but do celebrate whatever they are. Yes. Yeah, is there any questions? No, I think not. I know Jacqueline has also put on the group chat as well, if you have a moment to go there, all about the SWA chapter information, as well as the conference which is happening. So please do go and register for that. Hazel, I see, has just asked a question. How do you keep the momentum going for a motivated team? I think from my side, definitely, it is consistency. You have to keep it consistent. You can't have one good day and one bad day. I think as the leader as well, you have to set the trend for that. You have to be the one leading them. Just staying positive. That's one thing that we have decided now, especially in the times that we are. We don't know what tomorrow is going to bring, but we're going to try and stay positive. I was not nearly prepared for a level 4. I was going to say, no, we're going to stay on level 3. I'm not going to even go there. However, we are on level 4, but we can still operate. So that's still a positive that you can take out of it. It doesn't mean that level 4 means, okay, we're going to close our doors. It's going to be a one-on-one. You have to determine your own environment, your own circumstance, and make a business decision which is specific to you. But rest your teams assured. I think that is something they need assurance that no matter what happens, this is not the end. There's always a way out. There's always, a way forward that we can focus at. But yeah, I would say definitely consistency. I know it's sometimes exhausting, but you have to do it for yourself as well as for your team, because you can't lose that positivity. Definitely.
I think to add to that, Alida, and I like what you say about consistency, but alongside consistency, I think is an assurance comes with authenticity, rather. I think right now what people really need to feel supported to perform is authenticity from their leaders and their managers. It's not pessimism. It's not, I'm a realist and everything is hard. It is, we can get through this. We will get through this because everything passes. And I think that kind of communication is not just about being consistent, but actually being authentic, because we really are together. So just to add to that, that it's definitely consistency. I agree with you there. But part of assuring people when you are consistent is to just be authentic, you know. So I would love to say that that's how you keep people motivated. Just I feel as well, you feel, I feel, but I'm here with you, and I really do want to do this with you, and I do want us to do it.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, absolutely.
If I can just add to that, I think when it comes to leadership right now, to keep your team so motivated during, I've got a saying that it says, stay in your lane. And I think what often happens now is we so often compare ourselves to everything we're seeing on social media or everything we are seeing on even webinars and all of this, especially social media, I think. And it can actually drive you to such a negative space if you keep watching everything on social media and keep comparing yourself to what everyone's saying on social media. I think we mustn't forget that social media is probably the one place that everyone's going to put everything that's going well with them. They're never going to put there, oh my word, I don't have enough money to pay my bills. But they are going to say, oh, I went shopping and bought this. So I think I think we need to even speak to our team and get them to not worry about what everyone else is doing on social media and actually focus on what they're doing within their own little space. Right now, the only thing we can change or the only thing we can control is how we respond to something. And that's the only thing we can control right now. Everything else, the figures of what COVID's doing, who's closing, who's opening, who's doing what turnover-wise, who's employing staff, who isn't employing staff, who's losing their jobs, who's winning jobs. We cannot control any of that. The only thing we can control is the stuff we do inside our establishments and our little worlds that we have had. And my suggestion would be just stay in your lane, stop comparing yourself with others, stop comparing your team with everyone else. How you want to do your team and how you want to motivate your team is your baby, and how you want to communicate with them is own to what your team is actually wanting. And and just take it from there and actually just stay, where it's the best for you and your team right now, and not worry too much about what the world is screaming, because the world is screaming very loudly,
Very loud.
It can be exceptionally depressing. Let's be honest, it's not a pretty sight out there. So and I think it's really important to sometimes just block all of that out and not get too worked up about it, and actually only focus on where you're at and what you can control. And that would be my suggestion to motivating your team, because at the moment they are being bombarded with a lot of noise from the outside. And if I can even make it as brash as say, switch your social media off, because it's going to drive you nuts if you listen to everybody and everything around you all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Is there any other questions from anyone? You're welcome to put that in the comment section. Yeah. Other than that, then we will say thank you so much for your time today and for joining us. Thank you so much to my colleague, Thabiseng. Lovely sharing the panel with you today. I hope everyone can go home with at least one thing that you saw today that stood out. And like I said, celebrate the small wins, even if it's one thing you can go home with today that you said, I learned one thing new today, or maybe, yes, it was good to get the reminder of that one thing or two things. I think it's like Darren has also said in the comment that you have to have a good balance and be kind to yourself as well. I think that's important. Don't burn just yourself out to look after those around you. You are also extremely important. Your own well-being is also important. So definitely do look after yourself as well. We're all in this together in a way. This is our industry we love. This is the industry that we're passionate about. So this will also hopefully one day surpass, and we can go back to a new kind of a normal that, isn't so inconsistent and changing every other week. But in the meantime, we're there for one another. We support one another. We are team success because we all pull together in tough times. And I think that is extremely important. So yes, head over to our Facebook page, go have a look, do your registration for the online. And don't forget, we have our next event on the 2nd of August. So please keep a lookout. We will also let you know what the topic will be about. And then as soon as that is out, save the date, put it in your calendars, the 2nd of August at 2:00. We look forward to seeing you there. Any other questions, you're welcome to communicate with us. But the exciting things ahead to come with the final development stages of our conference. So from my side, I want to say thank you so much. Thank you, Ntabiseng, for always being amazing. And for my chair, Jacqueline, and everyone who has joined us today, we will share on the Facebook page the winner of the amazing gift. Thank you to the Spa Warehouse for sponsoring today. We will announce the winner on the Facebook page, so please be on the lookout, or we'll contact you directly for that. Perfect. Well, thank you again, ladies. Thank you so much. And we will see you on our next event, the 2nd of August. Wishing you well, stay safe, and celebrate your successes. Yes. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.